boy tied several ropes to the tree, started practicing tightrope walking. As his skills improved, the number of ropes gradually decreased. Looking at that swaying figure, there was no pride in his father's heart, only a sigh.
Mon fils, le clown du cirque.
However, the parents' opinions did not shake the boy's obsession at all. At the age of 8, he saw tightrope walking for the first time. He stared dumbfounded at those artists, as if gravity had no effect on them. At that moment, something was ignited in his heart. From the day he left the circus, he began to teach himself tightrope walking. Sweat and wounds were his earliest audience. However, this was far from enough. To test his learning results, he sneaked into the circus, but unfortunately, he was discovered by the troop leader as soon as he stepped on the tightrope. During the chase, he accidentally showed amazing talent, so the troop leader made an exception and accepted him as an apprentice. However, the family resistance grew stronger. The man simply left home. Now nothing could stop him. To exercise his psychological quality, the troop leader decided to give him a real test. He arranged a performance in the park. The sun was bright that day. The lake surface reflected the light. The man steadily stepped onto the steel cable. His steps were light and confident. The first half was almost perfect, but when he came to the center of the lake, the situation suddenly changed. Some people began to ridicule. Some people began to complain. Those voices disrupted his balance like a gust of wind. The next second he lost his balance and fell into the water. He stood up in embarrassment, still finished saluting. It was his first real performance, and also his first real failure. In the days that followed, he fell into deep depression, until one day he saw Notre Dame de Paris. The two towers were calling him now, so in the dead of night, he and his partner sneaked into Notre Dame de Paris. They worked in the dark, tied a thin thread to a ball, threw it towards the opposite bell tower, then used this thin thread to pull out a small rope, then used the small rope to pull out a thick rope, finally erected the tightrope between the two bell towers. At dawn, the tightrope was ready. The man took a deep breath, stepped onto that tightrope suspended 60 meters high. No protection, no safety rope. Failure meant death. But the man walked on the tightrope without hesitation, as if this thin thread was the most solid ground. People on the ground began to gather. This time he walked steadily to the opposite bank, completed the first high-altitude performance of his life. Foreign media called him a master, but Paris said he violated the law and damaged public property. The man looked at the newspaper with a complicated expression. At that moment, his partner handed him another weekly magazine. The headline read, "The World Trade Center is about to be completed."
This is a sign.